Thank you all for watching the first presentation of the Peaceful ZZZs sleep program. Today, we are going to talk about different tips and tricks and lifestyle changes in order to get the best quality and quantity sleep. And my name is Abby. I am the wellness coordinator with GatorCare, and we will go ahead and start off with our agenda for this presentation. So first, we'll talk about your personal habits and feelings about sleep. Then you'll learn some different habits and lifestyle changes, how to get the best quality sleep. And at the end, we will talk about how a sleep journal can potentially help you record and assess what factors in your life are affecting your sleep each night. So first, it's important to assess your current sleep behaviors. So ask yourself these questions: how many hours of sleep do you get in 24 hours currently? Are you having a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep? What does your sleep and rise time look like every day? Are you getting up around the same time every day, or are you sleeping in really late on the weekends? And then also what your pre-bedtime routine looks like. So what you're doing right before you lay down in bed and try to fall asleep. These factors can all affect your quality and quantity of sleep, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But first, it's important to understand why sleep's important. So sleep helps reboot your body and actually repair tissue damage. It restores your energy and supports your immune health. You might have noticed in your own life that when you're tired or you're exhausted, you often feel like you're getting sick, and sometimes you do come down with a cold or something like that. So your body needs sleep in order to support your immune health and fight off infections and bacteria. Also, sleep improves your memory function, and a lack of sleep can lead to a lot of different problems, including depression, anxiety, alcohol use, obesity, and other chronic diseases like heart disease and stroke. And also, lack of sleep can cause day-to-day errors, for example, car accidents. And you would be surprised, drowsy driving is actually a bigger problem than you might think. So drowsy driving kills over 1,500 people annually and causes about 40,000 non-fatal injuries every year. 24 hours of wakefulness is actually equal to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.1%, which is above the legal limit to drive in Florida, which is 0.08%. So sleep is definitely an important factor in your everyday life. Another statistic that I found pretty interesting is that over 100,000 deaths can actually be attributed to medical errors due to sleep deprivation. So everyone needs sleep. It is a necessity. Our bodies have to have it. Another term you'll hear me talk about during this presentation is circadian rhythm. So what is circadian rhythm? And to put it simply, it's a physical, mental, and behavioral changes that follow a 24-hour cycle. So basically, it's part of your body's internal clock system. And it influences different occurrences in your body, like hormone releases, your eating habits and digestion, and actually it helps regulate your body temperature as well. In your circadian rhythm, it primarily responds to light and dark, so the rising and the setting of the sun. Circadian rhythm can be found in most living things, and like I said, it helps produce these different influences on your body, so hormones, regulating your body temperature, and natural factors in your body can actually help realign your circadian rhythm. So the question is, how much sleep do you actually need? And it's important to note, as you look at this table here on this slide, that every individual is very different, and these are recommended amount of hours per night. However, some people do great off of less sleep than others. So it's really important to kind of assess what you feel you need. But as you can see here, adults 18 years and older need 7 or more hours of sleep per night. The amount of sleep you need actually decreases as you get older. So as you can see here, infants that are 4 months to 12 months old, they need 12 to 16 hours, so about half the day sleeping, and that includes naps. As you get older and you move into those teenage and adult years, no longer does the recommended sleeping hours include nap times. This is 7 or more hours straight every 24 hours. Skimping on sleep can affect your performance, mood, and health. So when we talk about performance, if you are lacking sleep, your response time becomes slower and your creative problem solving lacks. You tend to make more bad decisions and take more risks, and it also can lead to poor performance in work or school. And like we discussed earlier, there's also a greater risk of day-to-day errors like car accidents. It can also affect your mood. You may have noticed in the past, if you're really tired or sleepy, you may be more irritable or grumpy, and it's linked to poor behaviors and trouble in relationships as well. And chronic sleep loss is actually related to depression. When it comes to our physical health, lacking sleep can actually increase your risk of having high blood pressure, heart disease, and other medical conditions like obesity and diabetes. And that's primarily because when you're tired, you have less energy and a preference for higher foods and calories. So you tend to not want to work out as much or get out and exercise and move your body, but you also want to eat foods that have higher calories and carbs as well, which can be linked to eventually gaining weight and obesity and diabetes. Also, like I mentioned earlier, your sleep helps your immune system remember different viruses and infections that you've been exposed to in the past. So lacking sleep can actually increase your risk of getting sick. There are two major factors that contribute to sleep loss, and one would be lifestyle and occupation, and the other are sleep disorders. During this presentation, we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into lifestyle and occupation and talk about how extensive TV watching and being on your electronics can affect your sleep and potentially cause you to lose sleep. Also growing social recreational and occupational demands. So it seems like we live in this society that's very fast-paced and there's not enough time in the day to do everything you need to. So that can contribute to you staying up and sleeping less hours than are recommended. Also shift work, including night shifts. So if you work a night shift, your body automatically, you're fighting your need for sleep by staying up in the dark hours and going to sleep when there's light disturbance all around you. Other irregular sleep hours, so if, for example, if you're a dedicated student and pulling an all-nighter to study for an exam, that can also affect your sleep. And even traveling, so jet lag, if you're traveling across multiple time zones, this can affect and potentially increase your sleep loss. And some sleep disorders we will talk about in the next presentation include insomnia, sleep disordered breathing like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, narcolepsy, circadian rhythm disorders, and REM sleep behavior disorders. So what are some healthy sleep habits? So here on this slide, I have listed a few and you can read them over, but it's very important to reserve your bed for sleep and intimacy only. So you create the association with your bed and bedroom associated with sleep. So if you lay in bed and you're watching TV or doing work or reading even, certain things like that can begin to have you associate your bed and your bedroom with sleeplessness, and it makes it harder to fall asleep at night. Some other things we'll talk about is keeping your sleeping environment comfortable, so keeping your room at a temperature between 60 and 75 degrees is preferred, and avoiding late afternoon naps as well. So any time in the late afternoon that you're laying down to take a nap can it could affect how easily you go to sleep that night. So the first lifestyle change we'll talk about is setting a sleep ritual. And this is very important. It's very important to wind down for at least 30 minutes. And something I like to compare this to is you would never see a runner who goes and runs a marathon and not cool down or stretch afterwards. And the same thing goes for us trying to sleep. Let's say we're staying up at night on our phones or iPad or electronics, and then we just try to fall asleep right away. Well, we haven't given our body any time to relax and wind down and actually prepare for sleep. So some of the tips to do this is just to overall relax. Keep a quiet environment, focus your attention, have a passive attitude, so remain calm. Don't worry about when you fall asleep, because then you can get more frustrated if you don't fall asleep. Just stay in a comfortable position and preferably have a comfortable room environment and bedding. Some things you can try is disconnecting from your devices, your phones, TVs, iPads, other electronics 30 minutes prior to bedtime. And this is especially key because our lights and electronics give off blue light, which actually produces the same effect on our bodies as sunlight. So it resets your circadian rhythm and throws off your body. Keeping the lights low in your bedroom, lowering the temperature. You could also try some meditation, even progressive muscle relaxation techniques, controlled breathing, and you could read in a dim lit area. So something else, if you still find yourself having trouble falling asleep, it would be important to assess what you're doing during the day, because certain activities you do during the day can affect your quality of sleep at night. So for example, it's a great idea to keep a fixed wake up time and sleep time. So trying to go to bed and wake up every day, no matter if it's a weekend or not, at the same time is very important. Again, creating that association between your bedroom and sleep by using your bed just for sleep and intimacy. Exercising daily can help you fall asleep quicker and actually strengthens the quality of sleep as well. And getting 30 minutes of sunlight at least every day is a good way to help you get better quality of sleep. And that's because when you're exposed to sunlight, your body creates serotonin, which is a precursor for melatonin. And melatonin is the natural hormone in your body that promotes being tired. Something you want to avoid is you want to avoid any caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, and heavy meals before bedtime, and caffeine specifically 12 hours before you go to sleep, so after lunch. That's because caffeine can stay in your body for up to 12 hours and affect how well you sleep. Heavy exercising before bedtime is not really recommended either. 30 minutes or more exercise during the day, but at least an hour before bedtime is important. And like we talked about, afternoon naps can prevent you from falling asleep on time, and drinking any fluids after 8 p.m. And that's under the impression that you're going to be going to bed around 10 p.m. So really just trying to stay away from liquids 2 hours prior to bedtime to avoid having to wake up in the middle of the night and use the restroom. So what to do when you're laying in bed and you still can't fall asleep? And this could be if you're having trouble falling asleep initially, or if you're having trouble falling back to sleep and you've woken up in the middle of the night. So an important rule of thumb to remember is if you feel like you've been laying there for over 20 minutes, go ahead and get out of bed. Be patient with yourself at first, because typically it takes the average person about 15 to 20 minutes to fall asleep. However, if you think it takes longer than this, go ahead and get out of bed, because if you don't, you'll start to associate your bed with sleeplessness, and we want to try to avoid that. So go into another room, a dark, dimly lit room, and try to do something uninteresting. You can even try meditation or other relaxing techniques as well, but you could put together a puzzle or fold laundry. It's just very important to remain positive. Don't get frustrated if you feel like you really just aren't tired and can't fall back asleep. Eventually you'll get there. Don't watch the clock, because you'll tend to get more frustrated. So just remain patient with yourself and go back to bed whenever you're feeling sleepy again. Another lifestyle change that's really important to understand, like we talked about earlier, is understanding your personal sleep behaviors and how it affects your quality and quantity of sleep. Because every person is different, it's important to record these certain behaviors and lifestyle changes that you might possibly make and see how it affects your sleep. So you can keep a sleep journal. And what is a sleep journal? It's just a daily record of sleep-related information. So those behaviors that you're doing during the day, or even implementing those lifestyle changes we talked about to help get better quality and quantity sleep. So it can record a lot of things, but most of the time it records your sleep and rise time, how long it takes you to fall asleep approximately, if you've had any sleep interruptions and how long approximately they were, if you've taken any daytime naps, what was your total amount of sleep that you slept that night, and how do you think you slept? What was your perceived sleep quality on a scale of 1 to 5? And did you have any alcohol or caffeine or tobacco before you went to bed, or did you exercise really heavily? Did you exercise at all that day or be exposed to any sunlight? And even documenting your daily medications, because some medications can interrupt your sleep. So the point of a sleep journal is just to make you aware of these factors in your life that could potentially affect your sleep. And in order for a sleep journal to work, it's important to check back in with your sleep journal often and assess if there's a consistent correlation between certain behaviors and how well and how much sleep you're getting every day. So next we'll talk about the sleep journal that we've created for you. You can take this and implement it into your own life. There's a printable and fillable version on our website. So you'll see on page 2 here, the select page, we've listed out these recommended sleep strategies that we've talked about during this presentation. And on this page, go through, check off 3 to 5 strategies that you want to try, and try it out for 2 weeks. On this third page here, on the right-hand side, you'll see the planning page. And this is when you'll just answer these questions, plan out how you're going to implement those sleep strategies into your life, so you have a better idea of the next action steps and how to actually achieve those goals. On page 4 is where you'll see the record page, which is where you'll track those things we talked about, like the sleep strategies that you're using, the time you went to bed, your rise time, your total hours, and your perceived sleep quality. And it's listed Monday through Sunday, so you can track every day, every night, whenever you're sleeping, track those sort of factors. And on page 5, you can jot down and reflect about any of the sleep strategies that are working for you, which ones aren't, what type of daytime activities did you participate in that maybe helped you sleep better, and just keep track of any interesting experiences throughout the time you're tracking on the sleep journal. And thank you so much for watching. Happy sleeping. I hope you all can use the sleep journal to track your quality and quantity of sleep. And hopefully this helps you increase your quality and quantity of sleep moving forward. Thank you so much.